body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow. Tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. We take refuge in the Kandaru Lama and the lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deity of the Mandalas Vyadams. We take refuge in the excellent Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We Dagas and Dakinis and the Dhamma Gardens, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and the likewise in the example of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas invested in enlightenment and the progress of the Bodhisattva's path, true for the benefit of all sentient beings, giving birth to the Bodhicitta and apply myself to complete each stage of the path. And the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached by the merit of Janara and other good deeds. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering, the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May I bow down respectfully with my body. Okay, so we skip that 7-line prayer. Go to the, yeah. The ground is spanking with the scented waters, strewn with the flowers. It is adorned with the Meru, the spirit mountain, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. As the Buddha fair hour for it, may all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha first. To the Lama who possesses the Tirikayas, I offer auto inner and the secret offerings with my body, worth, and all that is visible. Please grant me the supreme realization and enlightenment. Om Guru Rina Mandala Bunda Manga Samandra Savarana Samaye Aho. I call refuge on the name of the world. Your firm provides the 3,000 words. You are the victor of Vajadara Vidodok. A poet at the feet of Father Jikin Songo. Continue laughing over no one but you. Compassion, the one grant your blessings. Dispel darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize the unlimited nature of mine. Please turn the way of Dharma of the two vehicles and the combination according to this position and likewise the mental capacity of sentient beings. His wisdom is brilliant like the sun, free of clouds of two words, and perceive the various steps of knowledge in the true nature. For this reason, he holds the wisdom text at his heart. He has a compassion for all beings who suffer from the darkness of ignorance and the prison of samsara. Prison of samsara, like the thunderclap, he awakens those who are samsara as a father for only son. Like a thunderclap, he awakens those who are sleeping in ignorance and losing the charm of karma through the 60 branch of Haramana speech. He wears wisdom silver to guard the settling of suffering to dispel the darkness of confusion. And the Bodhisattva form is pure from beginningless time, fully accomplishing the 10 levels and perfecting the body of knowledge. I supplicate you, usually adorned by the 112 Son of Buddha, to dispel darkness of my ignorance. Om Arabazanade, Om Arabazanade, Om Arabazanade, Om Arabazanade, Om Arabazanade, Om Arabazanade, Om Angeshurum, Om Angeshurum, Om. You who are the perfect, beautiful body, whose flame of wisdom blesses, and the dispel darkness of all ignorance, are posted before you and praise you, Manjushiri. Bangge duje jaje reisen rong yin je me de de je bong je ba se je len bo da ver ji be xia je jar be xia la zo wan de ong mei ji je yin je bo zhang ye zong sang je gen je ngo wo ye ran sen ji gen ngo zong dong zi da we lan mei xia la zo wan de. Good evening, everyone. Which verses we talked last week? I don't remember. Anyone remember?
18? Does that sound right?
You guess or?
Well, I remember hearing 18. I don't remember what's the last one or partway through.
Las Vegas was in Lama Bonita.
Yes, we done 18 last time, Kempo. Now
Yeah,
we're supposed to
18.
go to 19.
I see. So then, '18. Okay, so then no 19, yeah. Verses 19. Though you become famous and many bow to you, and you gain riches equal to Vaishavanas, see the worldly fortunes without essence, and be unconsulted. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So this each verses, helps reduce different emotions. Some verses specifically for anger, introduced. Some verses specifically introduced to the attachment. Some verses introduced to ignorance. Some verses directly introduced to pride. So this verses 19 is introduced to the pride. Though you become famous and many bow to you, so become famous, many people respect, or different ways you can be famous, and you gain riches equal to Vaishavanas, so you can have a lot of power, king, president, and like society, organizations just see all, powerful people. Vaishavanas, see what worldly fortune is without the essence. Then due to that, the increasing ego. So long as increasing ego, then of course the other or the emotion is become increasing. So decreasing all the other qualities, like the enlightening qualities going to decreasing, spiritual qualities going to decreasing. That's why, and when you get famous, when you get something power, and you are just comparing to, like with you are better than others, then usually we get pride. So the time, then we have to cultivate these verses. See that worldly fortune is without essence. Then we cultivate in this worldly, everything is not truly exist. Everything is the same as a dreaming. Everything is the same as a delusion. So nothing actually truly, permanently, inherently happiness there. So all is temporary. We have to cultivate just all the, like worldly everything. You cultivate, you analyze, then they don't have any, good essence there. So then, and beyond consulted this the practice of Bodhisattvas recognize nothing is truly exists permanently. They're not attached to that, and then they don't get pride. So they use their power, use the virtue, and benefit for others. They recognize they just can save more other beings, helping they can help more other beings. Not increasing emotion, pride. So this one, when we get something better than others, we get some good opportunities in the many different ways in the samsara worldly. So then due to that, we could get pride, and then we can be, like friends, relatives, forgetting, we think then I'm independent. No, I'm not dependent. Then, I'm better than them. So that kind of, we get pride. So that time we have to cultivate these verses. Helps reduce our ego. Bodhisattvas, whatever this, worldly kind of power, highest level, whatever they get, they don't get pride. They know that power is not causes of emotion. So the power and the virtue, whatever they get, Bodhisattvas, then that is for the more benefit for others. That's the practice of Bodhisattva. Then verses 20. Why the enemy of your own anger is not subdued, though you conquer external force, they will only increase. Therefore, with Malita, love, and the compassion, subdue your own mind. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So, this is the verses 20 is and the antidote anger. We have to subdue our anger. The anger is our true enemy, not external object, is the enemy. So that's why the enemy of your own anger is not subdued. We not subdued our own anger. Though you conquer external force, you conquer the external enemies, they will only increase. You can subdue the enemies, but you subdue the 10 enemies, 20 enemies arise. And you follow the auto level, subduing, never end, never finished. So that's why Shanti Deva said, put shoes in your feet. You cannot cover all the earth. It's covered by carpets. Long as you put shoes in your feet, then same as you cover all the earth. And long as you subdue your anger, then same as you subdue all the enemies and subdue all the world. That's why, therefore, with the Malita of love, so which can subdue our anger? Love, compassion can subdue our own anger. Because the love and the anger is antidote to the anger. Long as you cultivate the love and the compassion, then anger cannot exist in our mind. We can purify, release anger. Long as anger is released in our mind, then we subdue our enemies, true enemies, our own anger. Long as anger is be with our mind, then you never have happy and joy. That's why true enemy is our anger. So we have to remove and purify our own anger. This is the practice, Bodhisattvas. When anger arises, so we have to cultivate these verses and memorize, or if you can, and then just like anger arise, cultivate these verses really helps, it's solution for anger. Then verses 21, sensual pleasures are like salty water. The more you indulge, the more thirsty increase. Abandon at once those things which breed clinging attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So verses 21 is antidote to the attachment, desire. Attachment, desire is causes of suffering. Sensual pleasures are like salt water. So pleasure object is same as the salty water. The more you indulge, the more thirsty and increases. This salty water, you drink more, you become more thirsty. So same like that, you follow the sensual pleasure object. You use more sensual pleasure object, you more increasing attachment and the desire. Sensual pleasures, causes of attachment. So then attachment is causes of suffering. So that's why here saying, sensual pleasure, you more use, more suffering. Then what we can do, sensual pleasure, we have to give up or, change it, like using something different ways. Then that is the dependent individual. Beginners, better is sensual pleasure is giving up. Avoid that object. Then you're not stuck with attachment. If you have a capacity, means like you have become, you know, practitioner, little bit high level practitioner. You have good teaching, you have kind of, you cultivating these verses, meditating, practicing. Then these sensual pleasures, you can transform, the changed. So sensual pleasures is object. The problem is attachment. You can have sensual pleasures, but then without attachment. So that is the first beginner people, very hard to do that. As long as you have sensual pleasure, whatever you know, like enjoy object is you use and you attach to that. Then meditator practitioners, sensual pleasure object is no problem, but attachment, they don't attach to that. They can use, enjoy, but no attach, no fixation to that. That's always like dependent individual level. The point is we have to give up attachment, fixation to the object. Then long as you no longer attached to the object, sensual pleasure, whatever is there, conditions, you're not stuck with that. So they're not going to create a process of suffering. The object, or maybe you can use that object as offerings. It's change, transform to become positive, create accumulation very true. So that's why object is problem or not, it's dependent individual. Object can be negative, object can be take you to negative, object that can be take you to the positive. Someone, beginners who don't know this sensual pleasure object, and then they attach fixation to that, process of suffering. People who has practitioner, meditator, you know, like who knows how to use this object, is using right direction correctly, then they use this pleasure object and change to offerings and create accumulation merit, create a process of happiness. So this is a dependent individual level or to taking into the path. So that's why here is to say human beings desire attachment very strong. So our desires never end. We never get satisfied. Whatever we use, sensual pleasure object, we never ever satisfy. So use sensual pleasure object, you more desire, more grasping, more fixation arise. So then you stuck this sensual pleasure object, you know, become like same as a hungry ghost. You never think you have enough, like you know looking what you need, you looking what you want. So wanting desires never end. That's the why it's human beings, we can see like, you know, this people who make more money and then rich people never satisfied because they're more desire, more desire. So then it's become whatever they get is never satisfied, no happy. So sensual pleasure also, you know, it's many sensual pleasure means many different kind of, you know, the situation. So sensual pleasure object means like your attach any object, you know. So that's why, like, think about the kids has a sensual pleasure object themselves too, and they adults have their own sensual pleasure object. And the most sensual pleasure object means a desire object, just one thing, never satisfied object. So that's become take you as and then same as a hungry ghost, never satisfied. So it's create a process of the hungry ghost realm. That's why when we using sensual pleasures object or attachment object, offerings, transform to offering, use that object, meditate impermanent, And many methods to change that, not attach, detachment, using different methods. So recognize the same as delusion. So that helps become remove also attachment and remove karma, reborn to hungry ghost. That's why this each verses is very powerful. Just if anger is no control us, anger is no arise in our mind, we can control we can subdue our anger. We purify the hell realm karma, and we are free from hell realms. And permanently, temporarily, our happiness is never lost because anger is not come into our mind. Then you have a happy and joy in your mind. So this is 21 sensual pleasure also same, long as you no desire fixation to that object, and then use this object, you can create accumulation merit, you can purify 100 God's karma, and use this object, and then meditate, practicing, everything is recognized and permanent. Then this helps us, take to the realize the true nature, because as long as you know impermanent, then you recognize impermanent means interdependent. Interdependent means emptiness, not truly exist. So you meditate, cultivate that, then this sensual pleasure objects taking to recognize true nature. So then we can liberate from samsara. Abandon at once those things which dread, clinging, attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. The Bodhisattvas are not attached to sensual pleasure object. They are detachment. Then they are not suffering. Even you see this sensual pleasure object, they meditate impermanent, emptiness, not exist. Then they're not attached, no fixation to the object. Some practitioners use that object as offering and create accumulation merit. So our beginner, in the ordinary people, then sensual pleasure is a problem. So no problem for the practitioners. Then we go to the verses 22. Whatever appears is your own mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. Understanding this, do not take to mind inherent sound of subject and object. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. So this verses is of course introduced all the afflictive emotions, specifically also introduced to ignorance. So due to ignorance, we don't see the true nature. So that's why here this verses 22nd is whatever appears is your own mind, appear to any, these forms. Appear is your own mind. It can be song, can be, object. You can eye seeing object visions, or other, smell, taste, anything. Is appear to is your own mind. They are the five object of the appear to in your mind. Your mind from the start was free from fabricated extremes. So you no attach, no fixation to this five object. Five senses, no grasping to fixation to five object. Then understanding this, do not take to mind inherently the sound of the subject and object. You recognize this truly object is not exist. It's you seeing the object is in permanent and emptiness. So then Bodhisattvas, whatever this seeing in the object appear to their mind, they recognize its emptiness, not truly exist. So there are no fixation to the object, no stuck with the object. Object is can be many objects, not only one. So just main form is five objects. I seeing the forms, the earth consciousness hearing the songs, and the nose consciousness, objects smell, and the tongue consciousness is a taste. So body consciousness is senses. So we are attached fixation with this object, but whatever beautiful, great object arise to the mind, Bodhisattvas, the seeing is not exist, emptiness, recognize emptiness. There's no fixation to that. So free from the attachment, desire, Bodhisattvas. So then the meditation remove our ignorance and recognize true nature. True nature is not exist, it's emptiness. So long as you cultivate these verses, you recognize true nature. Then verses 23rd, when you encounter attractive object, though they seem beautiful like a rainbow in summer, don't regard them as rare and give up attachment. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. This verses 23rd and verses 22nd are very similar, slightly different but similar. Then verses 23rd is when you encounter attractive objects, so you see the attractive objects, beautiful, something like you really like, attach, fixation, right away seeing attractive objects. So then that means you go into fixation to start with that object. You have to meditate. So how you meditate, how you going to apply detachment. Though they seem beautiful like a rainbow in summer, so you recognize, oh, it is just beautiful, but same as a rainbow. Rainbow is beautiful, but not really exist truly. So the rainbow, we know, so like also not stay too long, very short term, very impermanent. Then you recognize that the beautiful object or attractive object is, you recognize same as a rainbow in summer, so you recognize it's impermanent. Do recognize that, don't regard them as rare and give up attachment. So seeing they are not truly exist. Then you can release attachment. So we can attach object means like anything, yeah. So we can attachment to house, car, and name is attached to female attached to man, and then just we are attached to many different kind of object. So when you attach fixation to the object, then you cultivate these verses. Because since rainbow is in summer example is in Tibet, we have only rainbow is in summer, not winter. So that's why. Maybe other country could be has winter also rainbow too. We have a rainbow today in here too long. We did a walking meditation this morning. So I didn't recognize, focus on the walking meditations. Then someone told me it's rainbow is there. So hallway is a rainbow. Beautiful rainbow comes. But that's also impermanent. That didn't stay too long. Even beautiful. So then don't regard them as rare. So everything object is the same. Rainbow, bit attractive objects. So rainbow is a very short term, but we think other objects stay long, but doesn't matter stay a little bit longer or short. It's anyway, both are not exist truly. So or it's impermanent. Don't regard them as rare and give up attachment. So this is the practice of Bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are not attached to all the attractive objects. They can see attractive object, they can use that offerings. So they see the attractive object, they use that is take to recognize true nature because they're cultivated. That object is impermanent. So each object has two phases. They help you to recognize true nature. They take you to samsara. So when you see contra-attractive object, ordinary people attached to that, it's become causes of samsara. Bodhisattvas see that object, recognize impermanent, not exist inherently, and no fixation, no attached to that. That helps to recognize true nature. And then Bodhisattvas see these attractive objects. They use that object, offering to Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. So they use that object, create accumulation merit. So they create enlightening qualities. So that's why its object has two phases, depending, individual level how you can use and taking the path. So we cannot say always like, oh, that object, beautiful object, attractive object is causes of suffering. The 100% because it's depending individual. And the Bodhisattvas, they use attractive object, beautiful object, they create enlightening qualities. Ordinary people see the attractive object, then attached to fixation to that, then keep going against samsara because create causes of suffering. So then, just main point here, when you see that kind of object you really attach to, they give you cause suffering, then you cultivate this. Same beautiful like a rainbow in summer, don't regard them as a and give an attachment. So this one you can use anything. Our samsaric beings, due to many conditions, there's many objects, we attach to that, then we all the time get upset, unhappy, and suffering. So when you get that kind of situation, so you cultivate these verses, then stuck that suffering. You can remove the suffering. You can take to the path. It's very powerful statement, 2030s. Of course, each one, but just depending, our problem. So each verses really helps when you have difficulty suffering. Each verses you cultivate which ones you really need to cultivate that really help you, transform suffering. Then this verses is our protection. This teaching is protection. So now verses 24. All forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. Holding illusory appearances to be true makes you weary. Therefore, when you meet with disagreeable circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the practice of Bodhisattvas. All forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. Holding illusory appearances to be true make you weary. So this verses 22nd, 3rd, 24 are kind of similar, different aspects where reduce our attachment, fixation. So all forms of suffering are like a child's death in a dream. So we have to think and cultivate. When we was born until now, how many our lives go through difficulty, suffering. So they all is the same. It's like the child is dead and dream. Child was born in the dream. You in the dream, then child was dead. You extremely suffering, unhappy and sad. When you wake up, all is delusion, no truly exist. Child is never born, child is never dead. So that's all is illusion. Same exactly like that. So when we was born to enter no, so we go through so many different kind of, our life, different situations. And so now you look back everything, think about, that's all is the same as delusion. Same as dreaming. Not really exist anything for us. Because when we was born, we go through so many difficulties. And also, of course, like we go through some special, desire object, many different kind, happy and suffering, go through many different conditions, causes of conditions. So now you look back, think, cultivate, everything is same as dreaming and delusion. Nothing exists, only you just memorize. So then you recognize that, like when you get difficulty, suffering, when you have problem, you think this verses. It's same as dreaming, You can suffering, but use this verses really helps reduce your suffering. You suffering also not permanent. Suffering also change. Suffering can be changed to happiness. So holding illusory appearances to be true makes you weary. Therefore, when you meet with disagreeable circumstances, see them as illusory. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. So Bodhisattva see that all is become same as illusory and no stuck with the suffering. The take suffering is on the path. Then verses 25. So when those who want enlightenment must give away their body, there's no need to mention external things. Therefore, without hope for return or any fruition, give generously. This is the practice of Bodhisattva. Now is going into 6 paramita. So our individual has 84,000 afflictive emotions. The individual, one person has 84,000 afflictive emotions. That's why it's Buddha share 84,000 Dharma teachings. So this all 84,000 Dharma teachings is introduced to 84,000 afflictive emotions. And then this 84 afflictive emotions subsumed to 6 different kind of afflictive emotions. And that's why 6 realms. That's why Buddha also sharing teaching is all subsumed to this 6 paramita. Subsumed to the 6 paramitas. So 6 paramita is the essence of all the Buddha's teaching. The teaching, this is Dharma, is 6 paramita, is Dharma, is the same as medicine. So 6 afflictive emotions, the same as disease. And use this 6 paramita is practice. We remove our 6 afflictive emotions. Long as we remove 6 afflictive emotions, we are free from samsara. Samsara is based on 6 afflictive emotions. So the first one is when those who want to enlighten must give even their body. So there is no need to mention external things. Who seeking to enlightenment, they're giving body for others. Then there are no questions any other object to giving generosity. So generosity is antidote to attachment. Generosity is antidote to our self-grasping. Long as we have self is create emotion. And this 6 parameters or is antidote to self-grasping, but especially this first generosity is antidote to self-grasping. Generosity means you helping, giving things for others. Self means only you thinking about holding things yourself, not giving. So that's why this generosity is opposite and contradict to the self-grasping. When Buddha, so first he practiced generosity. They have long stories also according to Zambala Sadhana stories, like Buddha was born very poor, and then once first is one of his life, so he practiced Zambala and he did some generosity and reborn to king, and then create more accumulation merit. So first started practice generosity, then others go, after that. That's why this 6 parameter first is comes generosity. Reason is Buddha also first he cultivate practice his generosity. So generosity result is free from poverty and hungry ghost. So if we are reborn hungry ghost, or we are extremely hungry and thirsty, we born to human beings, but no possible to create accumulation merit. Because due to poverty, we born to hungry ghost, extremely suffering. And if we wanted to create accumulation merit, then so have to generosity, because have to reborn to higher rank, especially free from poverty. Long as we are free from poverty, we have all the accumulation merit. Due to that, all the good wealthies. So rich also, the the material object rich also come from accumulation merit too. Then depending, some is become causes of suffering, some is taken to the enlightenment. So some do some generosity, they reborn higher realm human beings, God realms. They have good wealthy, but then the person didn't have enough morality. So then they use that merit is in the human being, it's become going back to again lower realms. So that's why after generosity, talk about morality too. And generosity helps reborn to higher rank, and you can create accumulation again, merit again. And then the generosity helps our remove our hungry ghost and poverty, suffering. So long as you are free from that, you have opportunity to create accumulation merit. You have an opportunity to practice Dharma. Then Bodhisattvas, when they're giving things, there's no mention external things. Therefore, without hope for return or any fruition, give generosity. They don't have any hope for return. So our ordinary people could be always having some hopes. Hope has also different levels. Some hope is like, I give him something, I wanted to become famous. People say I'm generous, I'm good person, people going to trust me. That kind of thing, they have hopes. So their hope is not that great. And then your generosity, the power is decreasing. Even you do really good generosity, but not really that much power. Have some good there, but not that much power. And then your generosity is, oh, I wanted to reborn higher ranks. That's also hope, but that's positive hope. Better the first one. The hope also has this different, some hope is negative, some hope is positive. So first, our ordinary people, we need hope, positive hopes. And the negative hope, even the generosity is Dharma practice, but if you, long as you have a negative hope, that cannot be Dharma practice. Even you giving things for others, you have a negative hope. I want to be famous. I use this generosity. Then people trust me, then I can get power and I use that. Something always do to self. You know, I have want to do something. So that is always for negative hopes. Due to that even do generosity, cannot say they have good result. But in positive hopes, we wanted to do something. Generosity, want to create accumulation, maybe we want to free from hungry gods, yet do generosity. We wanted to free from poverty, do generosity. That's also positive hope. That has good merit, but that kind of generosity cannot still take you to enlightenment. That helps you reborn to higher realms, because the positive hope bring the positive conditions, but still no causes of enlightenment. It causes like higher realms. That's good actually, comparing to, you know, we don't want to reborn hungry gods, right? And of course, if we wanted to reborn human beings, that's great. If God reborn to higher realms, it's better, free from the hungry gods. Even we reborn human beings, then we don't want poverty, suffering. So not really difficulty country, you know, no food, no drink. So we wanted to have drink, food, whatever we need is like, you know, suitfully. So that's always come from due to generosity. That generosity still have a hope generosity. That's why they're going to reborn higher realms, good condition arise. Then the become enlightened quality. Taken to enlightenment is no hopes, fruition, you know, no hope for return or any fruition giving generosity. That's generosity, is the highest level generosity. That is causes of enlightenment. If we can do that kind of generosity one time, that create the causes of enlightenment. So very powerful generosity, but so who don't have enough practice, meditate for true nature, then who don't know the emptiness, true nature, it's harder to do this without hope for return or any fruition giving generosity, because we have self-grasping. Due to that, always have hopes, do something. But some has better hopes. Positive also has levels. Good positive hopes. Then okay positive hopes, yeah. Excellent positive hopes. So without any hopes, then go down also like many levels too. So people give generosity to politicians too. So that's also hope generosity. That kind of generosity is the not really great generosity, because it's due to self. You want, you have a bias, you know, you have a bias. That's why you want to win your support. You want to win that person, you want to support that. You have hopes, very strong hope. It's kind of like, no, cannot say positive hopes. Also can be have positive hope, because you really see the person is good, he can help 100%, other is really going to create negative suffering many beings. Then you do generosity. Also you thinking about others, country. So that's also have a can be positive hope too. So that's always like our intention. Yeah. So we really cannot make decision 100% object. Oh, this is good, positive. Or this is no, it's negative. We cannot make decision that, because individually don't know how to take positive hopes or negative hopes, or know any hopes for return and fruition. So that is the best. If we can, as long as we can giving something without hope for return or any fruition giving generosity, then that even you can give one like that in this life. So you one day we are end of samsara. It's no cautions. That kind is the powerful one, generosity. But our generosity is always have a hopes. Harder to do that because long as we have a self-grasping. But even you cannot do the without hope, but then also you can create really excellent generosity too. Positive, excellent generosity. Okay. So we can finish it there today. And I have to go. Actually, my teaching is 6 o'clock. It's only 2 minutes. I have changed the spots. Others are going to left. So if you want to join, you can come back. Going to verses 26 is continued. Next teaching is verses 26. That's why I just wanted to leave it there. Okay.
Did you want to do closing prayers, Kimpo?
Oh. Sunam de damje zibanye dona nibe dana banze de chiga namje balan trupa ye sipen solen rowa risho yampara pawe jadaran jeba tende zambo de yang de yin de da genje jisa dalo jen gewan de da damje rab de ho san chou sem chou rumbo je ma ji panam ji pa nyam ba me ba yang gong ni gong de pe wa risho. Thank you.
You
Have to go. You can stay.
Bye, Rinpoche.
Bye. If you wanted to stay, you can stay at the same zone. So I'm going to use and come back again.
Thank you, Kempo.
Okay.
So what he's doing, Debbie, please help me.
He's going to change locations to where he was teaching before. So he's going to go do that. We can leave the Zoom room open and people can stay if you would like, and he'll continue teaching the 37. Marilyn, do you know what one he's starting?